Stranded in Atlanta after a failed interview, Maya meets a mysterious stranger in a midnight train station. Their honest connection sparks something rare, but will his secret identity derail everything before it truly begins? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The fluorescent lights of Atlanta's Peachtree Station flickered overhead, casting harsh shadows across Maya Langston's tired face. The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m. The last train to Birmingham had left 13 minutes ago, and Maya had missed it. She sank onto a cold metal bench, clutching her purse to her chest. Her phone screen was cracked from when she'd dropped it running for the train. Just one more disaster in a day full of them. "This can't be happening," she whispered, fighting back tears. The interview that morning had been a nightmare. She'd prepared for weeks, researched the company, practiced answers with her roommate Tasha. But the moment she walked in, she saw the looks on their faces, that split-second evaluation, the slight narrowing of eyes that told her everything. "We're looking for someone with more experience," the woman had said at the end, not meeting Maya's eyes. But Maya knew what that meant. She'd heard it before. Now stuck at this station with no way home, Maya wondered if she'd ever catch a break. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Maya looked up to see a man in an expensive suit, gesturing to the space beside her. He was tall, with dark hair and eyes that looked as tired as she felt. "Go ahead," she said, sliding her bag closer. "Thanks." He sat with a sigh, loosening his tie. "Long day?" Maya laughed without humor. "You could say that." "Me too." He ran a hand through his hair, messing up what had probably been a perfect style that morning. "I'm Elias, by the way." Maya. She didn't offer her hand. She wasn't in the mood for pleasantries. They sat in silence for a few moments, the empty station echoing around them. "Did you miss the last train too?" Elias finally asked. Maya nodded. "To Birmingham. I don't suppose there's another one coming." "Not until 5:30 tomorrow morning." He checked his watch. "Or I guess today, technically." Maya groaned. "Perfect. Just perfect." "Bad day?" She turned to look at him properly. In any other circumstance, she might have noticed how handsome he was, how his suit fit him perfectly, how his eyes crinkled at the corners when he looked at her. But tonight, all she saw was another person in a suit, probably judging her just like everyone else had today. "You don't want to hear about my problems," she said. Elias shrugged. "Actually, I do. It's not like either of us is going anywhere for the next few hours." There was something in his voice, a genuineness that caught her off guard. He wasn't looking at her with pity or judgment. He was just listening. "I had a job interview," she began hesitantly. "It didn't go well." "What happened?" "The dam broke. They took one look at me and decided I wasn't what they wanted. I could see it in their eyes. I have a degree in business administration, 3 years of experience, and excellent references. But none of that mattered." "That's their loss," Elias said quietly. "Is it? Because it feels like my loss. My loss of time, dignity, and now my last train home." Maya blinked back tears. "Sorry. Like I said, bad day. Don't apologize." Elias shifted to face her. "I've had plenty of bad days myself." Maya glanced at his expensive watch, his tailored suit. "Right. You don't believe me? Let's just say you and I probably have different definitions of a bad day." Elias smiled, but there was something sad in it. "Maybe, maybe not." They fell silent again. Maya checked her cracked phone. No service. "Of course. Do you need to call someone?" Elias offered his phone. "Let them know you're stuck." "My roommate's working the night shift. She won't be home until morning anyway." Maya shook her head. "But thanks. What about family? My mom would just worry. She's got enough on her plate." Elias nodded, not pushing further. "I understand." For some reason, Maya believed him. "What about you? No one waiting up?" "No one," he said simply. Something in his tone made Maya curious. Here was this man in what had to be $1,000 suit, with a watch worth more than her rent, sitting alone in a train station at midnight. "So what's your story, Elias? What brings you to this glamorous establishment at this hour?" He laughed, a genuine sound that echoed in the empty station. "Would you believe I wanted some peace and quiet? In a train station? Sometimes it's easier to be alone in public than alone at home." He said it casually, but Maya caught the weight behind his words. "I get that," she said softly. For the next hour they talked, about nothing important at first. The weather, the uncomfortable station benches, the vending machine that ate Elias's dollar but didn't give him his chips. Then, as the night grew deeper and the station emptier, their conversation shifted. "I've been at the same company for 3 years," Maya explained, but there's no room to move up. That's why I was interviewing in Atlanta. Better opportunities, you know. What kind of work do you do? Elias asked. Administrative assistant at an insurance firm. It pays the bills, but... She trailed off. But you want more, Elias finished for her. Is that selfish? No, it's human. Maya studied him. Or what about you? What do you do? Elias hesitated. I work in finance. It's complicated. Everything about money is complicated, Maya said with a small smile. True enough. He seemed relieved. She didn't ask for details. As 2 a.m. approached, Maya found herself telling this stranger things she hadn't told anyone, about her dreams of starting her own business someday, her fear that she'd never get out of Birmingham, the weight of being the first college graduate in her family. Sometimes I feel cursed, she admitted. Like no matter how hard I try, something always goes wrong. I don't believe in curses, Elias said, but I do believe some people have to work twice as hard for half as much. It's not fair. Life isn't fair. That's what my mama always says. Your mother sounds wise. Maya smiled. She is. She raised me and my brother alone after my dad left. Worked 2 jobs. Never complained. You admire her. More than anyone. Maya yawned, the exhaustion of the day finally catching up to her. You should try to get some sleep, Elias suggested. We've still got a few hours before the morning train. On these benches? No thanks. Elias looked around. Wait here. He walked over to the station attendant's booth and had a brief conversation. The attendant nodded and handed him something. Come on, Elias said when he returned. There's a break room in the back. The attendant says we can use it. There's a couch. Maya hesitated. I don't know. I'll wait out here if you prefer, but you should get some rest. There was that genuineness again. No pressure, no judgment, just kindness. Thank you, Maya said, following him to the small room with a worn couch and a coffee machine. But I'm not tired enough to sleep yet. They sat on opposite ends of the couch. Tell me something about yourself, Maya said. Something real. Elias thought for a moment. I'm lonely, he said finally. I have meetings all day, people around me constantly, and yet I'm completely alone. The honesty of his answer stunned her. That's not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Something about your golf handicap or your stock portfolio. Elias laughed. I don't play golf, and my stock portfolio is about as exciting as watching paint dry. Somehow I doubt that, Maya said, but she was smiling. Your turn, Elias said. Tell me something real. Maya took a deep breath. I'm afraid. All the time. Afraid I'm not good enough, not smart enough, not enough. You're enough, Elias said quietly. More than enough. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke. Maya felt something shift between them, a connection forming that she couldn't explain. You're the first person who didn't look at me like I was small, she said softly. Elias's expression changed, something pained crossing his features. Maya, The door opened and the station attendant stuck his head in. Just checking if you folks need anything. The cafeteria's closed, but I can get you water or something from the vending machine. We're fine, thank you, Elias said, the moment broken. When the attendant left, Maya yawned again, unable to fight her exhaustion any longer. Get some sleep, Elias said gently. I'll wake you when it's time for the train. Promise you won't leave. The words slipped out before she could stop them. I promise. Maya curled up on her end of the couch, using her jacket as a pillow. Despite the circumstances, she felt safe. With Elias watching over her, she drifted into sleep. When she woke, sunlight was streaming through the small window. Maya sat up quickly, disoriented. What time is it? Just after 5, Elias said. He was sitting in the same spot, looking like he hadn't moved all night. We have about 20 minutes before the train. Maya ran her fingers through her hair, suddenly self-conscious. I must look a mess. You look beautiful, Elias said, then quickly added, There's a restroom down the hall if you want to freshen up. Maya felt her cheeks warm as she gathered her things. In the harsh fluorescent light of the station bathroom, she splashed water on her face and tried to make sense of the night before. She'd spilled her heart to a complete stranger. To a very handsome, very well-dressed stranger who had been nothing but kind to her. It felt like something out of a movie, not her real life. When she returned to the break room, Elias was on his phone, his expression serious. He quickly ended the call when he saw her. Everything okay? She asked. Just work. He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. Ready to go? They walked to the platform together, joining the small crowd of early morning travelers. Maya felt a strange sadness knowing their time together was ending. So, she said awkwardly, which way are you headed? Elias hesitated. Actually, I'm staying in Atlanta. Oh, Maya frowned. Then why were you at the station last night? I told you, I wanted some peace and quiet. It didn't make sense, but Maya didn't push it. Well, thank you for everything. Maya, Elias began, then stopped. He seemed to be struggling with something. I enjoyed talking with you. More than I've enjoyed anything in a long time. Me too, she admitted. Would it be too forward to ask for your number? Maya blinked in surprise. You want my number? I'd like to see you again. If you want to, that is. The train pulled into the station, doors opening with a hiss. I should go, Maya said, suddenly nervous. This wasn't how her life worked. Handsome men in expensive suits didn't ask for her number after chance meetings in train stations. Of course. Elias took a step back, disappointment clear on his face. Maya hesitated, then quickly pulled out a pen from her purse. Having no paper, she took his hand and wrote her number on his palm. Just in case you're serious, she said with a small smile. The train conductor called for boarding. Maya picked up her bag. Goodbye, Elias. Goodbye, Maya. She boarded the train and found a window seat. As the train began to move, she looked out and saw Elias still standing on the platform, watching her leave. For the first time in a long time, Maya felt a flutter of hope. Maybe she wasn't cursed after all. Back in his empty penthouse, Elias Carter stared at the number written on his palm. He should have told her who he really was, that he wasn't just some commuter, that he was the CEO of Next Gen Financial, that his face had been on the cover of Business Week last month. But then she would have looked at him differently, the way everyone did, with either awe or calculation, and he couldn't bear that. Not from her. Elias carefully copied Maya's number into his phone, then reluctantly washed his hand. He had meetings all day, decisions worth millions to make, but all he could think about was Maya's smile, her honesty, the way she'd trusted him with her fears. Maya Langston, he said to the empty room, testing her name on his lips. He would call her. But first, he needed to figure out how to tell her the truth without losing the connection they'd formed, because for the first time in years, Elias Carter had met someone who saw him, really saw him, not as a CEO, not as a millionaire, but simply as a man, and he wasn't ready to let that go. Meanwhile, on the train to Birmingham, Maya dozed against the window, dreams filled with a pair of kind eyes, and the strangest feeling that her life was about to change. 3 days had passed since Maya returned to Birmingham, and she hadn't heard from Elias. She tried not to check her phone constantly, but every notification made her heart jump. Earth to Maya, Tasha said, waving a hand in front of her face. They were having coffee at their tiny kitchen table, the morning sun streaming through the window. You've been staring at your phone for 5 minutes straight. Sorry, Maya said, putting her phone down. Just distracted. By what? Or should I say who? Tasha raised an eyebrow. You've been acting weird since you got back from Atlanta. Maya hesitated. The whole night at the train station felt like a dream, something too strange to be real. I met someone, she finally admitted. Tasha's eyes widened. Spill. Every detail. Now. Maya told her about missing the train, about Elias in his perfect suit, about talking through the night. And he just happened to be at the station? At midnight? Tasha looked skeptical. He said he wanted some peace and quiet. At a train station, girl, that makes no sense. Maya frowned. She hadn't questioned it at the time, but Tasha was right. Why would someone like Elias be at a train station that late if he wasn't traveling? Maybe he was waiting for someone, she suggested. Or maybe he's married and told his wife he was working late, Tasha said bluntly. He's not married. Maya was certain of that. He wasn't wearing a ring. Rings come off, honey. It wasn't like that, Maya insisted. He was different. Tasha softened. I hope you're right, but be careful. Men in expensive suits don't usually hang out at train stations for no reason. Maya's phone buzzed, and both women froze. Maya snatched it up, her heart racing. Unknown number. Is this Maya? It's Elias from the train station. It's him, Maya whispered. Tasha grinned. Well, answer him. Maya typed quickly. Yes, it's me. I was beginning to think you weren't going to call. Elias? I wanted to, every day. I just needed to figure some things out first. How are you? Maya. Back to the daily grind. How about you? Elias. Busy with work, but I can't stop thinking about our conversation. Maya smiled at her phone. Tasha rolled her eyes. You look like a teenager with a crush. Shut up, Maya said, but she was still smiling. Elias, I'd like to see you again. Would you be open to that? Maya stared at the message. She barely knew this man. Meeting him had been pure chance. And yet, Maya, I'd like that too. Elias, I could come to Birmingham this weekend? Maya. You'd come all the way here? Elias. For you? Absolutely. Tasha peeked over Maya's shoulder. He's coming here? Wow. Is it too much? Maya asked. Too fast? Maybe, Tasha admitted. But sometimes the best things happen fast. Maya took a deep breath and typed, Saturday works for me. Elias sent back details about his arrival time and suggested they meet for lunch. Maya agreed, trying to ignore the butterflies in her stomach. Well, looks like you've got a date, Tasha said. What are you going to wear? Maya groaned. I have no idea. In his Atlanta penthouse office, Elias stared at his phone, a smile playing on his lips. She'd said yes. He hadn't been sure she would. His assistant, Vanessa, cleared her throat from the doorway. Mr. Carter, the board members are waiting in the conference room. Right. Elias straightened his tie and stood. Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes. Vanessa hesitated. Is everything all right, sir? You seem different today. Everything's fine, Elias said, but he couldn't hide his smile. Better than fine, actually. Vanessa raised an eyebrow, but didn't comment further. She'd been his assistant for 5 years and had never seen him like this. Also, Elias added, clear my schedule for Saturday. I'll be out of town. The whole day? But you have the meeting with Japanese investors. Reschedule it. This is important. Vanessa nodded. Yes, sir. After she left, Elias looked out at the Atlanta skyline from his floor-to-ceiling windows. His company, Next Gen Financial, occupied the top 10 floors of the building. From up here, the train station where he'd met Maya was just a tiny speck. He hadn't planned to go there that night. He'd been at a charity gala nearby, surrounded by people who wanted something from him, money, connections, status. The emptiness of it all had hit him hard. He'd slipped away, told his driver to go home, and just walked. Somehow, he'd ended up at the station, and then he'd seen her, looking tired and frustrated and so real compared to everyone he'd been with earlier. Now he was going to see her again. But there was a problem. She still didn't know who he really was. His phone rang. It was his brother Marcus. Eli, where are you? The board's getting restless. On my way, Elias said, heading for the door. You need to focus today. Davidson's still pushing for that merger, and I know what Davidson wants, Elias cut in, and he's not going to get it. Marcus sighed. Just be diplomatic, okay? Not everyone shares your vision for the company. That's their problem. Elias ended the call and stepped into the elevator. As it descended to the conference room floor, he tried to shift his thoughts from Maya to business, but all he could think about was how he was going to tell her the truth. Saturday came quickly. Maya stood in front of her closet, clothes strewn across her bed. The blue dress, Tasha said from the doorway. Definitely the blue one. Maya held it up. It was simple but flattering, with a modest neckline and a hemline that hit just above her knees. Not too casual. It's lunch, not the opera, Tasha pointed out. Besides, you look amazing in it. Maya nodded and slipped on the dress. As she applied her makeup, just enough to enhance her features without looking overdone, she tried to calm her nerves. What if it's awkward, she asked. What if we have nothing to talk about in the daylight? Then you thank him for lunch and never see him again, Tasha said practically. But I doubt that will happen. You talked all night at the station, remember? That was different. We were both tired, stranded, there was no pressure. Well, there's no pressure now either, Tasha insisted. It's just lunch. But it didn't feel like just lunch to Maya. It felt like the beginning of something, or the crushing disappointment of finding out that their connection had been a one-night illusion. At 11:30, Maya arrived at the restaurant Elias had chosen, a nice but not extravagant place downtown. She was 15 minutes early and chose a table by the window where she could see him approach. At exactly 11:45, a sleek black car pulled up outside. Maya's heart raced as Elias stepped out, looking even more handsome than she remembered in dark jeans and a light blue button-down shirt. He spoke briefly to the driver, then turned toward the restaurant. Their eyes met through the window, and his face lit up with a smile that made Maya's breath catch. A moment later, he was at her table. Maya, he said softly, as if her name was something precious. She stood suddenly shy. Hi, Elias. For a second, they just looked at each other. Then, to Maya's surprise, Elias leaned in and hugged her gently. It's really good to see you, he said as they sat down. You too, Maya replied, her nervousness fading. How was your trip? Quick, Elias said with a smile. Easier than I expected. A waiter came to take their drink orders, and Maya was grateful for the momentary distraction. When they were alone again, she found herself studying Elias's face in the daylight. His eyes were warmer than she remembered, a rich brown that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "You're staring," he said, but he didn't seem to mind. "Sorry, it's just strange to see you in normal lighting, not under those awful fluorescents at the station. And? How do I look in the daylight?" "Even better," Maya admitted, then blushed at her own boldness. Elias's smile widened. "I was thinking the same about you." They ordered lunch and conversation flowed easily between them. Elias asked about her job, her family, her dreams. He listened intently to every word, as if nothing was more important than understanding who Maya Langston was. "What about you?" Maya asked as they finished their meals. "You know all about me now, but you're still a mystery." Elias shifted in his seat. "What do you want to know?" "Everything," Maya said simply. "Start with what you really do for work. You said finance, but that's pretty vague." Elias hesitated. "I work for a financial technology company. We develop solutions for banking systems." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. Maya sensed there was more. "And?" she prompted. "And I've been with them for about 7 years, Elias said carefully. "It keeps me busy." "I bet," Maya said. "Is that why you were at the station that night? Business in Atlanta?" Elias looked down at his plate. "Not exactly." "Then what?" He met her eyes. "The truth is, I needed to escape, just for a little while, from expectations, from responsibilities. I wanted to feel normal." "Normal," Maya repeated. "What does that mean?" "It means," Elias struggled for words, "it means being seen as a person, not a position, being valued for who you are, not what you can provide." Maya frowned. "That sounds complicated." "It is," Elias sighed. "Maya, there's something I should tell you." Just then, a man at a nearby table stood up suddenly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. He was staring at Elias with wide eyes. "Oh my God," the man said loudly. "You're Elias Carter. The Elias Carter." Maya looked between the man and Elias, confused. Elias's face had gone rigid. "I'm sorry to interrupt," the man continued, approaching their table, "but I'm a huge admirer of your work. What you've done with NextGen is revolutionary. I've been following your career since you made the Forbes 30 Under 30 list." Elias stood and shook the man's hand, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "Thank you. That's very kind. Would you mind if I got a quick photo? My partners will never believe I ran into you." "Actually, I'm in the middle of lunch," Elias said firmly. "Another time, perhaps." The man looked disappointed but nodded. Of course. Sorry to interrupt." He handed Elias a business card. "If you ever need environmental consulting for any of your properties, please consider us." After the man returned to his table, Elias sat back down, not meeting Maya's eyes. "The Elias Carter," Maya said quietly. "What was that about?" Elias took a deep breath. "That's what I was trying to tell you. I'm not just some guy who works in finance. I'm the CEO of NextGen Financial. We're one of the largest fintech companies in the country." Maya stared at him. "You're a CEO?" "Yes." "And you're, what, famous?" "In certain circles," Elias admitted. "Business publications, investment banking, that sort of thing." Maya sat back in her chair, processing this information. "So when you said you were lonely despite being surrounded by people," "I meant it," Elias said earnestly. "Maya, I didn't tell you because I wanted you to see me, not my title or my bank account." "You lied to me," Maya said, her voice steady despite the hurt building inside her. "I didn't lie," Elias argued. "I just didn't tell you everything." "A lie of omission is still a lie, Elias." Maya stood up. "I told you everything about me that night, everything, and you let me believe you were just another commuter." "Maya, please." Elias stood too. "It doesn't change anything between us." "It changes everything." Maya's voice rose, drawing glances from nearby tables. She lowered it to a fierce whisper. "You said you were just a man, but you hid the one thing that changes everything." "How does it change things?" Elias asked, genuine confusion in his eyes. "Because people like you and people like me don't mix, Elias. We live in different worlds." "That's not true." "Isn't it?" Maya grabbed her purse. "Thank you for lunch, Mr. Carter. It was illuminating." She turned and walked out of the restaurant, ignoring Elias calling her name. Outside, she started walking quickly, tears threatening to spill. She heard footsteps behind her, and then Elias was there, gently catching her arm. "Maya, wait, please." She stopped but didn't turn around. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have told you sooner, but I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" Maya asked, finally facing him. "Afraid you'd look at me differently." That you'd see the CEO, not the man who sat with you at the station. His eyes were pleading. That night meant something to me, Maya. You meant something to me. How am I supposed to trust you now? Give me a chance to earn your trust, Elias said. One more chance. Maya looked at him. This man she'd felt so connected to, who'd made her feel seen and heard. Now she wondered if any of it had been real. I need time to think, she said finally. Elias nodded. I understand. Can I call you tomorrow? I don't know. Maya, Elias said softly, I'm still the same person who sat with you all night, who listened to your dreams, who promised not to leave. Something in his voice reached past her anger, touching the part of her that had felt so drawn to him from the beginning. You can call, she conceded, but I'm not promising I'll answer. Relief washed over his face. Thank you. They stood there on the sidewalk, the gap between them feeling much wider than the few feet of concrete. I should go, Maya said. Let me drive you home. No, Maya shook her head. I need to walk, clear my head. Elias looked like he wanted to argue but nodded instead. Be safe. Maya turned and walked away, not looking back, though she could feel his eyes on her. Her mind was a jumble of conflicting emotions, hurt at his deception, confusion about what he really wanted from her, and beneath it all a stubborn hope that wouldn't die. Back at her apartment, Maya paced the living room, waiting for Tasha to get home from her shift at the hospital. When the door finally opened, she pounced. He's rich, she blurted out. Like really rich and famous. Tasha blinked, setting down her bag. Who is? Elias. He's not just some guy who works in finance. He's Elias Carter, CEO of something financial. Next Gen. People ask him for photos in restaurants. Tasha's eyes widened. Wait, Elias Carter? As in the fintech wunderkind, that guy's worth millions. You know who he is? Maya asked, surprised. I read, Maya. Tasha pulled out her phone and quickly typed something. Here, look. She held up her screen, showing a Forbes article with Elias's face on it. The headline read, Elias Carter, the man revolutionizing banking at 30. Oh my God, Maya whispered, sinking onto the couch. What happened at lunch? Tasha asked, sitting beside her. Maya explained the encounter with the man in the restaurant, the revelation and her reaction. And you just walked out? Tasha shook her head. Girl, you walked out on Elias Carter. He lied to me, Tasha. Did he though, or did he just not drop by the way I'm super rich and successful into casual conversation? Maya frowned. Whose side are you on? Yours, always, Tasha assured her. But think about it from his perspective. The guy probably has people trying to use him for his money and connections all the time. Then he meets you, someone who has no idea who he is, who talks to him like a normal person. So I'm supposed to be flattered that he slummed it with me? Maya asked bitterly. That's not what I meant, and you know it, Tasha said firmly. Look, you felt a connection with him, right? Before you knew who he was? Maya nodded reluctantly. And did he act like some spoiled rich guy? Did he look down on you or treat you badly? No, Maya admitted. He was kind, thoughtful. So maybe give him a chance to explain, Tasha suggested. If he turns out to be a jerk, then walk away. But don't throw away something potentially amazing just because you're scared. I'm not scared, Maya protested. Tasha gave her a knowing look. Aren't you? Scared that someone like him couldn't possibly be interested in someone like you? Scared that if he is, it won't last? Maya didn't answer, but her silence was confirmation enough. You deserve good things, Maya, Tasha said gently, even if they come in unexpected packages. Maya's phone buzzed with a text. It was from Elias. I understand if you don't want to see me again, but please know that everything I said, everything I felt that night at the station was real. You saw me, Maya. Not my title, not my company. Me. And that meant more than I can say. Maya stared at the message, feeling the wall around her heart start to crack. What are you going to do? Tasha asked. Maya took a deep breath. I don't know yet. But as she went to bed that night, Maya found herself thinking not about Elias's wealth or status, but about the look in his eyes when he'd asked for one more chance. And for the first time, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, their worlds weren't as different as she thought. In his hotel room, Elias stared at his phone, willing it to ring. Maya hadn't responded to his text, and he was trying not to read too much into that. His own phone rang, startling him. It was Marcus. How's Birmingham? His brother asked without preamble. It was going well until I was recognized, Elias said grimly. Ah, Marcus paused. So she knows now. Yes. Elias had told Marcus about Maya earlier in the week, something he rarely did with the women he dated. But Maya was different, and she didn't take it well. That's an understatement. Elias sighed. I should have told her from the beginning. Probably, Marcus agreed. But would she have believed you were interested in her if she'd known who you were from the start? It was a fair question. Elias had dated women who were only interested in his money and power before. The experience had left him wary. I don't know, he admitted, but I need to find out if there's still a chance. What's your plan? Elias looked out the window at the Birmingham skyline. I'm going to show her who I really am. Not the CEO, not the millionaire, just me. And if that's not enough, Marcus asked gently, then I'll have to accept it. Elias's voice was firm despite the ache in his chest. But I have to try. After ending the call, Elias opened his laptop and began to research. If he was going to win Maya's trust, he needed to show her he was serious. And he had an idea of just how to do that. Meanwhile, across town, Maya lay awake, staring at Elias's text. Her finger hovered over the reply button, torn between pride and the undeniable pull she felt toward him. Just a man, she whispered to herself, remembering how he'd described himself that night at the station. She wondered if, underneath all the trappings of wealth and success, that was still who he was, and if so, whether she was brave enough to find out. Maya stared at the business card on her desk. It had arrived that morning in a simple envelope with no note, just the card. Maya Langston, Assistant Director of Community Outreach, Birmingham Youth Foundation. It was her dream job, working with underprivileged kids, creating opportunities, making a real difference. A job she hadn't applied for, a job that hadn't even existed as far as she knew. This has Elias Carter written all over it, she muttered, reaching for her phone. It had been 3 days since their disastrous lunch. 3 days of ignored calls and unanswered texts from Elias. 3 days of Maya telling herself she was right to walk away, even as she checked her phone every few minutes. She dialed the number on the card, her heart pounding. Birmingham Youth Foundation. This is Darlene, a cheerful voice answered. Hi, this is Maya Langston. I received a business card for a position with your organization, and I'm calling to find out more information. Oh, Ms. Langston. Yes, we've been expecting your call. Mr. Powell would like to meet with you as soon as possible about the position. Are you available this afternoon? Maya frowned. This was moving too fast. May I ask how you got my name? I believe one of our board members recommended you, Darlene said vaguely. Mr. Powell can explain everything when you meet. Shall we say 2 p.m.? Maya hesitated, then made a decision. Yes, 2 p.m. works. After hanging up, she immediately called Elias. This time, she wouldn't let it go to voicemail. He answered on the second ring. Maya, he said, his voice careful. I was beginning to think you'd never call. Did you do this? She demanded without preamble. Did you create a job for me at the Birmingham Youth Foundation? There was a pause. No, Elias said finally. I didn't create a job for you. Then how do you explain this business card with my name on it, for a position I never applied for? I can explain everything, Elias said, but not over the phone. Can we meet? I have an interview at 2 p.m., Maya said stiffly. I know. Of course you do. Maya sighed. Fine. After the interview. The coffee shop across from the foundation building, 3:30. I'll be there, Elias promised. Maya ended the call and leaned back in her chair. She should be angry, furious even, that Elias seemed to be meddling in her professional life. Instead, a small part of her was curious, and maybe, just maybe, a little hopeful. The Birmingham Youth Foundation occupied a renovated warehouse in the city's arts district. Inside, the space was bright and modern, with colorful artwork created by local teens covering the walls. Maya was led to a conference room where a man in his 60s with kind eyes and silver hair waited. Ms. Langston, I'm Harold Powell, Executive Director. He shook her hand warmly. Thank you for coming on such short notice. To be honest, Mr. Powell, I'm not entirely sure why I'm here, Maya said, taking a seat. Right to the point, I appreciate that. Powell smiled. We are expanding our community outreach programs, and we need someone with fresh ideas and a passion for helping young people. Your name came up during a recent board meeting. May I ask who mentioned me? Several people, actually. Powell slid a folder across the table. But what really caught our attention was your proposal. Maya opened the folder to find a detailed program outline, one she'd created for a class project in college 3 years ago. It was her dream initiative, a mentorship program connecting disadvantaged teens with professionals in fields they were interested in. How did you get this? She asked, stunned. It was submitted anonymously to our board, Powell said, but the ideas align perfectly with where we want to take the foundation. Maya flipped through the folder. Her proposal had been expanded, refined, with detailed budgets and implementation strategies that she hadn't included in her original. "This position," Maya said slowly, "it's real? Not created just for me?" "Very real," Powell assured her. "We've been planning this expansion for months. The timing of your proposal arriving was fortunate, that's all." Maya studied him, trying to determine if he was being honest or if this was all some elaborate scheme orchestrated by Elias. "The salary is competitive," Powell continued, pointing to a figure in the folder that made Maya's eyes widen. "It was nearly double what she currently made. And you'd have considerable autonomy to develop programs you believe in." It sounded too good to be true, and in Maya's experience, things that sounded too good to be true usually were. "I need some time to think about this," she said. "Of course." Powell handed her another folder. "Here's more information about the foundation, our current programs, and the team you'd be working with. Take a few days, but I hope you'll say yes, Ms. Langston. We need people with your vision." As Maya left the building, her mind was racing. How had they gotten her college proposal? Who had refined and expanded it? And most importantly, what was Elias's role in all of this? Elias was already waiting at the coffee shop when Maya arrived. He stood when he saw her, his expression a mixture of hope and apprehension. "How did it go?" he asked as she sat down. "Why don't you tell me?" Maya countered, "since you seem to know everything about it." Elias sighed. "I didn't create the job, Maya. It was a legitimate opening. I just made sure your proposal reached the right people." "My college proposal? How did you even get that?" "You mentioned it that night at the station," Elias reminded her. "You talked about your dream of creating a mentorship program for kids. It sounded brilliant, so I had my assistant track down a copy." "That's," Maya struggled for the right word, "invasive. I prefer resourceful," Elias said with a small smile. "Maya, I didn't buy you a job or pull strings to get you hired. I simply made sure the right people saw your work. What happens next is entirely based on your own merit." Maya wanted to be angry, but she couldn't deny that the opportunity was exactly what she'd always wanted. "You had no right to interfere in my life like that." "You're right," Elias admitted, "and I'm sorry, but I couldn't stand the thought of you being stuck in a job that didn't appreciate your talents, especially when I had the means to help." "I don't need your help," Maya said firmly. "I don't need your money, or your connections, or your influence." "What do you need, Maya?" Elias asked softly. The question caught her off guard. What did she need? Security? Respect? Love? Honesty? She said finally. "I need someone who will be honest with me, even when it's difficult." "I can do that," Elias said. "I want to do that. Will you let me try?" Maya studied his face, the earnestness in his eyes, the tension in his jaw. He looked like a man who was afraid of losing something precious. "Why me?" she asked. "You could have anyone. Models, socialites, women from your world. Why are you trying so hard with me?" "Because none of them saw me," Elias said simply. "They saw my bank account, my company, what I could do for them. You saw me, just a tired man at a train station. And you still wanted to talk to me." Maya remembered that night, how easy it had been to open up to him, how he'd listened without judgment. "I did see you," she admitted, "but now I don't know who I'm seeing. The man from the station or Elias Carter, CEO. They're the same person," Elias insisted. "The title, the money, that's not who I am. It's just what I do." "It's easy to say that when you have money," Maya pointed out. "You've never had to worry about making rent or choosing between groceries and electricity." "You're right," Elias acknowledged. "I haven't. I was born into privilege, and I've been fortunate in my career. I won't pretend to understand what that's like." His honesty surprised her. Most people would have gotten defensive or tried to justify themselves. "So where does that leave us?" Maya asked. "That's up to you," Elias said. "All I'm asking for is a chance to show you who I really am. No more secrets, no more omissions, just me." Maya thought about Tasha's words. Don't throw away something potentially amazing just because you're scared. Was that what she was doing? Letting fear make her decisions? "Okay," she said finally. Elias blinked. "Okay, one chance," Maya clarified. "But on my terms. No fancy restaurants, no expensive gifts, no pulling strings behind my back. Just two people getting to know each other honestly." The smile that spread across Elias's face was like the sun breaking through clouds. "I can work with that. And for the record," Maya added, "I'm going to take that job if they offer it to me. Not because of you, but because it's what I've always wanted to do." "I wouldn't expect anything less," Elias said. "So what now? What are your terms for this chance?" Maya thought for a moment. "Meet me at Railroad Park tomorrow at noon. Wear something casual. Really casual. I want to see Elias, not Mr. Carter. Done, Elias agreed immediately. Anything else? Yes, Maya said, standing up. Don't make me regret this. As she walked away, Maya wondered if she was making a mistake. But for the first time in a long time, the risk felt worth taking. The next day, Maya arrived at Railroad Park 15 minutes early, her nerves making it impossible to sit still at home. The park was busy with weekend visitors, families with children, joggers, people walking dogs. At exactly noon, she spotted Elias walking toward her. True to his word, he was dressed casually in jeans, a plain grey t-shirt and sneakers. Without the suit and tie, he looked younger, more approachable, more like the man she'd met at the station. "Hi," he said, stopping in front of her. "Is this casual enough?" Maya smiled despite herself. "It'll do. Though I have to say, those jeans probably cost more than my entire outfit." Elias laughed. "Guilty as charged. I'll shop at Target next time." "That I'd like to see." Maya gestured to a nearby food truck. "Hungry? They have the best tacos in Birmingham." They got tacos and found a spot on the grass to eat. It was strange seeing Elias like this, sitting cross-legged on the ground, eating street food with his hands, looking completely at ease. "So," Maya said, "tell me something about yourself that isn't in your Forbes profile." Elias thought for a moment. "I'm terrified of birds." Maya laughed. "What? Why?" "When I was 5, a goose attacked me at a park, chased me all the way to the car, honking and flapping. I've been wary of anything with feathers ever since." "The great Elias Carter, brought low by geese," Maya teased. "Hey, geese are vicious creatures," Elias defended himself. "They have teeth on their tongues. That's just wrong." Maya giggled, and Elias smiled, looking pleased to have made her laugh. "Your turn," he said. "Tell me something I don't know about you." "I write poetry," Maya admitted. "Bad poetry, but I find it therapeutic. Will you show me sometime?" "Not a chance," Maya said firmly. They spent the afternoon walking through the park, talking about everything and nothing, favorite books, childhood memories, embarrassing stories. With each step, Maya felt the wall between them crumbling a little more. "My brother thinks I'm crazy," Elias said as they sat on a bench, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. "For what?" "For driving to Birmingham every weekend, to see a woman who might still decide I'm not worth the trouble." Maya looked at him, surprised. "You're planning to come every weekend?" "If you'll let me," Elias said, "until we figure this out, whatever this is between us." The commitment in his voice made Maya's heart race. "That's a lot of driving. Worth every mile," Elias said simply. As the evening grew cooler, they reluctantly headed back to where they'd parked. At Maya's car, Elias hesitated. "Can I see you tomorrow before I head back to Atlanta?" Maya nodded. "Breakfast? There's a diner near my place." "Perfect." Elias took her hand, his touch gentle. "Thank you for today, for giving me another chance." "Don't mess it up," Maya said, but she was smiling. Impulsively, she stood on tiptoe and kissed his cheek. His skin was warm against her lips, and she caught the scent of his cologne, subtle and expensive. As she drove home, Maya realized she was humming. For the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful, not just about Elias, but about everything. The new job, her future, possibilities she hadn't let herself consider before. Over the next month, true to his word, Elias drove to Birmingham every weekend. They kept things simple: picnics in the park, movies at the local theater, cooking dinner at Maya's apartment while Tasha teased them mercilessly. During the week, they talked every night on the phone, sharing the details of their days. Maya started her new job at the Birmingham Youth Foundation and threw herself into creating the mentorship program she'd dreamed of for so long. Elias opened up more about his work, explaining the challenges of running a company that was changing the banking industry. He talked about his brother, Marcus, who was his right-hand man at NextGen, and about the pressure of living up to the legacy his father had left behind. "He built the company from nothing," Elias explained one evening as they sat on Maya's small balcony. "When he died 5 years ago, everyone expected it to fall apart without him. I was determined to prove them wrong." "And you did," Maya said. "That must make you proud." "It does," Elias admitted, "but sometimes I wonder if I'm living his dream instead of my own." "What would your dream be?" Maya asked. "If you could do anything?" Elias thought for a moment. "I'd probably still be in finance, but I'd focus more on helping people who are excluded from traditional banking. The underserved communities, people who get exploited by payday loans and check cashing services because they don't have access to fair financial options." "Why don't you do that now?" Maya asked. You're the CEO, you make the decisions. It's complicated, Elias sighed. The board, the shareholders, they expect certain returns. Shifting focus would be risky. Since when are you afraid of risk? Maya challenged him. The question lingered between them, and Maya could see Elias turning it over in his mind long after they'd moved on to other topics. As spring bloomed in Birmingham, Maya found herself falling deeper for Elias. She loved his dedication, his intelligence, the way he listened when she talked about her work with the foundation. She loved how he could command a room full of executives on a video call, then spend hours helping a group of teenagers at one of her workshops learn about saving money. But there was still a nagging doubt she couldn't shake. Their worlds were so different. Every time he flew back to Atlanta in his private jet, a concession he'd made after weeks of exhausting drives, she was reminded of the gap between them. One Friday evening, Maya was helping the teens in her program prepare for a presentation when her phone buzzed with a text from Elias. Running late, board meeting went long. We'll catch the 9 p.m. train instead. Maya frowned. Train? Elias hadn't taken the train since they'd met. What about your jet? She texted back. Decided to take the train tonight. Meet me at the station? An hour later, another text came through. Delayed in Atlanta. Mechanical issues. New ETA midnight. Still up for meeting me? Maya smiled, remembering another night at a train station. Wouldn't miss it. At 11:30 p.m., Maya arrived at the station, a sense of déjà vu washing over her as she took a seat on the same bench where she'd sat that fateful night months ago. The station was nearly empty, just like before. She checked the arrivals board. The train from Atlanta was indeed delayed, now expected at 12:15 a.m. As she waited, Maya reflected on how much had changed since that night. She had a new job she loved, a renewed sense of purpose, and Elias had become someone she couldn't imagine her life without. At 12:10 a.m., the announcement came that the train from Atlanta was arriving. Maya stood, her heart racing with anticipation. Passengers began to disembark, a trickle of tired travelers dragging suitcases, and then she saw him, Elias, wearing the same suit he'd worn the night they met. His tie loosened, his hair slightly disheveled. Their eyes met across the platform, and Elias's face lit up with a smile that made Maya's heart skip. "We have to stop meeting like this," he said as he reached her, setting down his overnight bag. "I don't know," Maya replied, stepping into his embrace. "Train stations seem to work for us." Elias held her close, burying his face in her hair. "I've missed you." "It's only been 5 days," Maya reminded him, though she'd missed him too, more than she wanted to admit. 5 days too long. Elias pulled back to look at her. "I have something to tell you." "What is it?" Maya asked, suddenly anxious. "I took your advice," Elias said, "about not being afraid of risk. I proposed a new initiative to the board today, a division focused entirely on providing banking services to underserved communities, low-cost accounts, financial education, fair loans." "Elias, that's amazing," Maya exclaimed. "What did they say?" "They hated it," Elias said with a grin. "Said it would hurt our bottom line, damage our brand, all the usual excuses." "Oh?" Maya's enthusiasm dimmed. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." Elias squeezed her hands. "Because I told them I was doing it anyway. If they didn't like it, they could find a new CEO." Maya stared at him in shock. "You didn't." "I did." Elias looked proud, energized. "And you know what? They backed down. We're launching the program next quarter." "I can't believe you did that," Maya said, awed by his courage. "I did it because of you," Elias said seriously. "You made me remember why I got into this business in the first place, to make a difference, not just a profit." Maya felt a surge of emotion, pride, affection, and something deeper she wasn't quite ready to name. "I'm so proud of you." Elias took both her hands in his. "There's something else, something I've been wanting to tell you for a while now." The intensity in his eyes made Maya's breath catch. "What is it?" "I love you, Maya Langston," Elias said simply. "I think I've loved you since that first night, when you told me about your dreams and your fears and made me feel like just a man, not a CEO or a millionaire." Maya stood frozen, his words washing over her like a wave. He loved her. Elias Carter loved her. "You don't have to say it back," Elias added quickly. "I know it's soon, and I know we still have things to figure out, but I needed you to know." Maya reached up to touch his face, tracing the line of his jaw with her fingertips. "I love you too," she whispered. "I've been fighting it, telling myself it couldn't work, that we're too different. But I do. I love you." The smile that broke across Elias's face was blinding in its joy. He lifted her off her feet, spinning her around as she laughed. When he set her down, he kissed her, their first real kiss, sweet and tender and full of promise. "So what now?" Maya asked when they finally broke apart, both breathless. "Now," Elias said, "we figure it out together, day by day." As they left the station hand in hand, Maya felt a sense of rightness, of coming full circle. The place where their story had begun was now the place where a new chapter was starting. But neither of them noticed the man watching from across the platform, his expression darkening as he took photos with his phone, photos that would soon threaten everything they had built together. Marcus Carter frowned at the tabloid headline on his tablet, "Banking Heir's Secret Romance with Community Worker." The article was brief but pointed, suggesting that Elias's relationship with Maya was affecting his business judgment, citing the new initiative for underserved communities as evidence of his distraction. There was a photo of Elias and Maya at the train station, kissing alongside an older photo of Maya at a protest against predatory lending practices 3 years earlier. The implication was clear. She was using her influence over Elias to push a political agenda. Marcus's phone rang. Davidson, the board member who had most strongly opposed Elias's new initiative. "Have you seen it?" Davidson demanded without preamble. "I'm looking at it now," Marcus replied calmly. "This is exactly what we were concerned about," Davidson said. "Your brother is letting his personal life cloud his judgment. This girl is clearly manipulating him." "You don't know that," Marcus defended, though a seed of doubt had been planted in his mind. The timing was suspicious. "Don't I?" Davidson scoffed. "A nobody from Birmingham suddenly has the CEO of NextGen wrapped around her finger, and suddenly he's pushing policies that align perfectly with her activist history. Come on, Marcus. You're smarter than that. What do you want, Davidson? Talk to your brother, make him see reason. If he doesn't, the board will be forced to take action." After hanging up, Marcus stared at the photo of Elias and Maya. His brother looked happier than he'd seen him in years. But was that happiness coming at too high a price? Marcus made a decision. He needed to meet this woman for himself, to determine if she was really in love with Elias or if she had other motives. And he needed to do it before the board's emergency meeting on Monday. Picking up his phone, he called his assistant. "Book me on the next flight to Birmingham and find out everything you can about Maya Langston." As Marcus packed a bag, he hoped he was wrong about Maya, for Elias's sake. Because if he was right, if she was using his brother, Marcus would do whatever it took to protect Elias, even if it meant breaking his heart. Maya stared at her phone in disbelief. The tabloid article had been sent to her by 5 different people this morning, including her mother, who had called in a panic. "Banking Heir's Secret Romance with Community Worker," Maya read aloud to Tasha, who was peering over her shoulder. "How is this even news, and where did they get these photos?" The main image showed her and Elias kissing at the train station 3 nights ago. It was grainy, but unmistakably them. Another photo showed Maya at a protest years earlier, her fist raised as she chanted alongside other demonstrators against a payday loan company known for exploiting low-income families. "This doesn't look good," Tasha said grimly. "They're painting you as some kind of gold-digging activist who's manipulating Elias." "That's ridiculous," Maya scoffed, but her stomach churned with anxiety. "Elias knows that's not who I am." "Does he?" Tasha asked gently. "You two haven't known each other that long, Maya. And men like him, they're used to people wanting things from them." Maya's phone rang. It was Elias. "Have you seen it?" she asked without saying hello. "I've seen it," Elias confirmed, his voice tight. "It's nonsense, Maya, don't let it bother you." "Easy for you to say," Maya replied. "You're used to this kind of attention." "I'm not. My mom called me crying, thinking I was in some kind of trouble." "I'm sorry," Elias said sincerely. "This is my fault. Being with me puts you in the public eye. I should have prepared you better." "Who would do this?" Maya wondered. "Who would take those photos and sell them to a tabloid?" There was a pause. "I have my suspicions," Elias said darkly. "The timing is too convenient. Right after I announced the new initiative to the board. You think someone on your board did this?" Maya was shocked. "It wouldn't be the first time corporate politics got dirty," Elias said, "but don't worry, I'll handle it." "How?" "I'm flying back to Atlanta tonight. There's an emergency board meeting tomorrow that I need to prepare for." Maya felt a pang of disappointment. Elias had planned to stay the whole weekend. "I understand." "Maya?" Elias's voice softened. "Nothing in that article changes how I feel about you. You know that, right?" "I know," Maya said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. After they hung up, Maya paced her apartment, the tabloid article still open on her phone. The comments section was brutal, with strangers speculating about her motives, her background, even her appearance. "Don't read the comments," Tasha warned, taking the phone from her hand. "That's internet rule number 1. "Too late," Maya sighed. "What if this affects my job? What if the foundation decides I'm too controversial now?" "Harold Powell doesn't strike me as the type to care about tabloid gossip," Tasha reassured her. "Besides, you're good at what you do. That's what matters." The doorbell rang, startling them both. Tasha went to answer it, returning a moment later with a serious expression. "There's someone here to see you," she said quietly. "He says he's Elias's brother." Maya's heart raced as she walked to the living room. The man standing there had Elias's height and build, but his features were sharper, his expression more guarded. He wore a suit that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. "Ms. Langston," he said, extending his hand. "Marcus Carter. I apologize for dropping by unannounced, but I was hoping we could talk." Maya shook his hand cautiously. "How did you find my address?" A flicker of something, embarrassment perhaps, crossed Marcus's face. "I have resources. Again, I apologize for the intrusion. I'll give you two some privacy," Tasha said, shooting Maya a look that clearly meant be careful before retreating to her bedroom. "Please, sit," Maya offered, gesturing to the couch. Their small living room suddenly felt cramped and shabby compared to what Marcus must be used to. Marcus sat, his posture rigid. "I'll get right to the point, Ms. Langston. I'm concerned about my brother." "Concerned how?" Maya asked, her defenses rising. "Elias has always been idealistic. It's one of his better qualities, but lately he's been making decisions that threaten everything he's worked for." Marcus fixed her with a penetrating stare. "Decisions that coincide with your appearance in his life." Maya felt her cheeks flush with anger. "If you're implying that I'm somehow manipulating your brother—" "I'm not implying anything," Marcus interrupted smoothly. "I'm simply noting a correlation. Elias meets you, and suddenly he's threatening to walk away from his own company if the board doesn't approve a high-risk initiative that aligns perfectly with your political views." "My political views?" Maya repeated incredulously. "You mean my belief that people shouldn't be exploited by predatory financial practices? Is that really so controversial?" "In business terms, yes," Marcus said bluntly. "It's not profitable." "Maybe that's the problem," Maya shot back. "Maybe profit shouldn't always be the bottom line." A hint of a smile touched Marcus's lips. "Now you sound like Elias." "Look," Maya said, trying to stay calm, "I understand you're protective of your brother, but I haven't asked Elias for anything. Not money, not influence, nothing. What he does with his company is his decision, not mine." Marcus studied her for a long moment. "I believe you," he said finally, surprising Maya. "But that doesn't change the fact that his relationship with you has put him in a vulnerable position. The board is using this—" He held up his phone with the tabloid article displayed, "as ammunition against him." "What do they want?" Maya asked, a knot forming in her stomach. "They want him to step back from the new initiative and—" Marcus hesitated. "They want assurances that his personal life won't interfere with his leadership." "Assurances? What does that mean?" "It means they want him to distance himself from you, at least publicly," Marcus said, his voice softening slightly. "I'm sorry to be so blunt, but I thought you should know what he's facing." Maya felt like she'd been punched in the gut. "And what does Elias say about this?" "He doesn't know yet. The official demands will be presented at tomorrow's meeting." Marcus leaned forward. "Ms. Langston Maya, I came here because I wanted to meet you for myself, to see if you were using my brother." "And your verdict?" Maya asked, her voice tight. "I think you genuinely care for him," Marcus said, "which is why I'm asking you to consider what's best for Elias right now." "Are you asking me to break up with him?" Maya was incredulous. "I'm asking you to think about what Elias stands to lose," Marcus clarified. "Next Gen isn't just a company to him. It's our father's legacy. It's his life's work. And you think I'm not worth that sacrifice?" Maya challenged. "I think that's not a choice he should have to make," Marcus replied evenly. "And I think if you love him, you wouldn't want him to." The words hit Maya like a slap. Did she love Elias enough to let him go? To protect him from having to choose between her and the company that meant so much to him? "I should go," Marcus said, standing. "I've given you a lot to think about. For what it's worth, I can see why my brother fell for you. You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" Maya couldn't help asking. "Someone easier to dislike," Marcus admitted with a small smile. He handed her a business card. "My number if you want to talk further, or if you decide—" He left the thought unfinished, but Maya understood. If she decided to walk away from Elias, Marcus would help make it happen. After he left, Tasha emerged from her bedroom. I heard most of that. Are you okay? Maya sank onto the couch, feeling numb. I don't know. You're not actually considering breaking up with Elias, are you? Tasha asked, alarmed. What if Marcus is right? What if staying with me costs Elias everything he's worked for? That should be Elias's decision, not his brother's, Tasha argued. Have you talked to Elias about any of this? No, Maya admitted. He just said he'd handle it. Then talk to him before you do anything drastic, Tasha advised. This is between you and Elias, not you and Marcus or you and the board. Maya nodded, but doubt had already taken root in her mind. Had she been selfish, thinking she and Elias could overcome their differences? Had she been naive to believe that love could bridge the gap between their worlds? Elias paced his Atlanta penthouse, his phone pressed to his ear. What do you mean you went to see her? He demanded. Marcus, you had no right. I had every right, Marcus replied calmly. She's all over the tabloids, Eli. The board is using her to undermine you. I needed to see for myself what kind of person she is. And? Elias asked tensely. What's your assessment? She's impressive, Marcus admitted. Strong, principled, not easily intimidated. Did you threaten her? Elias stopped pacing, his grip on the phone tightening. Of course not. I simply explained the situation. Which is? The board is planning to demand you step back from the new initiative, Marcus said, and they want you to make a public statement distancing yourself from Maya, claiming the relationship has been exaggerated by the press. Elias cursed under his breath. That's not happening. Eli, be reasonable, Marcus pleaded. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about the 3,000 people who work for NextGen. If the stock drops because investors think you're distracted or making decisions based on personal feelings, I'm not distracted, Elias interrupted, and the initiative is sound business. We've been ignoring an entire market segment for years, leaving it to predatory lenders. There's profit to be made in ethical banking, Marcus. Real, sustainable profit. I know that, Marcus said. But the timing, coming right after you started seeing this woman, her name is Maya, Elias said firmly. And she inspired me, yes. She reminded me of what banking should be about, helping people build better lives, not just making the rich richer. But the idea, the business plan, that's all me. There was a pause. Then Marcus sighed. You really love her, don't you? Yes, Elias said without hesitation. More than I thought possible. Then you need to be prepared for what's coming tomorrow, Marcus warned. Davidson has been working the board all weekend. He's got at least 6 members ready to vote against you if you don't agree to their terms. Let them try, Elias said, a plan already forming in his mind. I'll see you at the meeting. After hanging up, Elias tried calling Maya, but the call went straight to voicemail. He texted her. We need to talk. Can I call you later? No response came. Elias tried to ignore the twist of anxiety in his gut. Had Marcus's visit scared her off? Was she having second thoughts? He couldn't lose her now. Not when he'd finally found someone who saw beyond his wealth and status to the man underneath. Someone who challenged him to be better, to do better. His phone rang. Not Maya, but his lawyer. Ted, I need everything you can find on NextGen's articles of incorporation, Elias said without preamble, and my father's original business plan. I have a feeling I'm going to need them tomorrow. Maya sat on a bench in Railroad Park, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. She'd been here for hours thinking, trying to make sense of her tangled emotions. Her phone vibrated again, another text from Elias, his 5th since this afternoon. She hadn't responded to any of them, needing this time alone to think. The tabloid article had been a wake-up call. Until now, their relationship had existed in a bubble, protected from the realities of Elias's world. But that bubble had burst, and Maya was forced to confront a truth she'd been avoiding. Loving Elias Carter came with complications she wasn't sure she was ready for. Her phone rang, not Elias this time, but Harold Powell from the foundation. Maya, he said when she answered, I wanted to check in. I saw the article. Mr. Powell, I'm so sorry, Maya began, but he cut her off. Don't apologize. Your personal life is your business. His voice was kind. I'm calling to make sure you're all right. And to let you know that your position at the foundation is secure. Your work has been exemplary. Tears pricked at Maya's eyes. Thank you. That means a lot. The young people in your program are asking about you, Powell continued. They're worried their mentor might not come back. Of course I'm coming back, Maya assured him. The program is everything to me. Good to hear. Take whatever time you need, Maya. We'll be here when you're ready. After the call ended, Maya wiped away tears. At least one part of her life was still stable. The kids in her program, teenagers who'd faced more challenges in their young lives than most adults ever would, had become so important to her. They needed her, trusted her. She couldn't let them down. But what about Elias? Didn't he need her too? Hadn't he shown time and again that she mattered to him, that he was willing to fight for what they had? The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the park in twilight. Maya made her decision. She picked up her phone and called Elias. "Maya," he answered immediately, relief evident in his voice. "I've been worried. Are you okay?" "Your brother came to see me," she said, not bothering with pleasantries. There was a pause. "I know. He told me." "Maya, whatever he said, he told me about the board meeting tomorrow," Maya interrupted. "About what they're demanding." "It doesn't matter what they're demanding," Elias said firmly. "I'm not choosing between you and the company, Maya. That's not a choice I'm willing to make." "What if you don't have to?" Maya asked quietly. "What do you mean?" Maya took a deep breath. "I mean, what if we take a step back? Give things time to cool down. You focus on securing the initiative, on proving to the board that it's sound business, and I focus on my work here." "Maya, no." Elias's voice was pained. "That's exactly what they want. I won't let them dictate my personal life." "It wouldn't be forever," Maya assured him, though her heart ached at the thought of any separation. "Just until things settle, until the initiative is launched and successful." "I don't need time apart to prove the initiative will work," Elias argued, "and I don't want to hide my relationship with you like it's something shameful. I love you, Maya. I'm proud to be with you." "I love you too," Maya said, tears filling her eyes again. "That's why I'm suggesting this. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything you've worked for." "You won't be," Elias said with conviction. "Trust me, Maya. I have a plan for tomorrow, but I need to know you're with me, that we're in this together." "What kind of plan?" "One that will remind everyone what NextGen was supposed to be about from the beginning," Elias said. "My father didn't build this company just to make money. He built it to make a difference." There was such certainty in his voice that Maya found herself believing him. "What can I do?" "Come to Atlanta," Elias said. "Be there at the meeting with me." Maya hesitated. "Elias, I don't think that's a good idea. It would just antagonize the board further." "You're right," Elias conceded after a moment. "But will you come after? Whatever happens tomorrow, I want to see you." "Okay," Maya agreed. "Let me know when it's over." "I will." Elias paused. "Maya, I meant what I said. I love you. And nothing that happens tomorrow will change that." "I love you too," Maya whispered, hoping with all her heart that love would be enough. The NextGen financial boardroom was tense as Elias took his seat at the head of the table. All 12 board members were present, along with Marcus, who sat to Elias's right. Davidson, a silver-haired man with cold eyes, sat directly opposite Elias, flanked by his supporters. "Thank you all for coming," Elias began, his voice steady. "I understand there are concerns about recent decisions I've made, both professionally and personally." "That's putting it mildly," Davidson interjected. "Your new initiative threatens to divert significant resources from our core business, and your personal entanglements have become a distraction, as evidenced by the recent press coverage." Murmurs of agreement came from several board members. Elias waited for them to quiet. "Before we go further," he said, "I'd like to remind everyone of NextGen's founding principles." He slid copies of a document across the table. "This is my father's original business plan, written 25 years ago." The board members glanced at the papers, some with interest, others with impatience. "Page 3, paragraph 2, Elias directed. "NextGen will strive to be more than just another financial institution. We will innovate not only in technology but in accessibility, ensuring that financial services are available to all segments of society, regardless of economic status." He looked around the table. "My father understood that true innovation meant reaching those who had been ignored by traditional banking. The initiative I've proposed isn't a departure from our core business. It's a return to our founding vision." "Times have changed, Elias," Davidson argued. "Your father wasn't answering to shareholders then." "Actually," Elias countered, "I had my team research something interesting this weekend." He opened a folder in front of him. "When my father incorporated NextGen, he included a specific provision in the Articles of Incorporation. Article 4, Section B states that the company must allocate a minimum of 15% of its resources to financial inclusion initiatives targeting underserved communities. Surprised looks passed between the board members. Davidson frowned. "I don't recall such a provision." "It hasn't been enforced in years," Elias acknowledged, "but it's still legally binding. My initiative isn't just good business. It's fulfilling a legal obligation that this board has been neglecting." Marcus looked at his brother with newfound respect. Elias had done his homework. "As for my personal life," Elias continued, his voice hardening, "it is exactly that, personal. My relationship with Maya Langston has not affected my judgment or my commitment to this company. If anything, it has reminded me of why I do this work in the first place." "The optics are concerning," another board member spoke up. "Ms. Langston's activist background. Maya works for a youth foundation, helping teenagers from disadvantaged backgrounds learn financial literacy and career skills," Elias interrupted. "If supporting that mission makes her an activist, then I'm proud to be associated with her." Davidson leaned forward. "Elias, we're not unsympathetic to your feelings, but as CEO, you have responsibilities that transcend personal desires. We're asking you to consider what's best for next gen." "I am," Elias said firmly, "which is why I've prepared this." He distributed another document. "This is my detailed proposal for the new initiative, including market analysis, projected costs and returns, and implementation timeline. Review it carefully. You'll see that this isn't just ethically sound, it's financially sound." As the board members read through the proposal, Elias watched their expressions shift from skepticism to consideration. Even Davidson seemed begrudgingly impressed by the thoroughness of the plan. "I move that we table the vote until everyone has had time to review the full proposal," Marcus suggested, a strategic move to give the tension time to dissipate. "I second that motion," said one of the older board members, a woman who had served since Elias's father's time. Davidson looked like he wanted to object, but nodded curtly instead. "Fine, we'll reconvene in 1 week. But Elias, the concerns about your personal distractions remain." "My personal life is not up for discussion or vote," Elias stated, standing to signal the meeting's end. "Next Gen will honor my father's vision, both in letter and spirit, and I will continue to lead this company with the same dedication I always have. That's all I have to say on the matter." As the board members filed out, Marcus stayed behind. "That was impressive," he told Elias. "Finding that provision in the articles was genius. It almost makes me think Father anticipated something like this happening someday," Elias said with a small smile. "He always did play the long game." "What now?" Marcus asked. "Davidson won't give up easily." "Now I go to Birmingham," Elias said, already packing up his materials. "I need to see Maya." Marcus hesitated. "About that, I may have overstepped yesterday." "You think?" Elias raised an eyebrow. "I was trying to protect you," Marcus defended. "But after seeing you today, I realized something. She makes you better, Eli, stronger, more like the brother I always looked up to." Elias's expression softened. "She does make me better. That's why I can't lose her." "Then go get her," Marcus said, "and tell her I'm sorry, and that she's welcome in the family if that's where this is heading." Elias smiled, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "It is. I've never been more sure of anything." Maya was at the foundation, working late with a group of teenagers on their business presentation, when her phone buzzed with a text from Elias. "Meeting over. Coming to Birmingham now." "Where can I find you?" Maya replied with the foundation's address, her heart racing. His message didn't indicate how the meeting had gone, but the fact that he was coming immediately had to be a good sign, didn't it? An hour later, as she was helping the teens pack up, she looked up to see Elias standing in the doorway of the classroom. He was still in his suit, though he'd removed his tie, and he looked tired but determined. "Mr. Carter," Maya said formally, aware of the curious glances from her students. "This is a surprise." "Ms. Langston," Elias replied with a small smile. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "We were just finishing up," Maya assured him. She turned to the teenagers. "Great work today, everyone. Remember, final presentations are next Friday." As the teens gathered their things, one of them, a tall boy named Deshawn, approached Elias. "You're the guy from the news," he said bluntly. "The one dating Ms. Langston." Elias nodded. "I am." "You for real about that banking thing? Helping people like my mom who can't get fair loans?" "Absolutely for real," Elias confirmed. "In fact, I could use advisors who understand what communities really need." If you're interested, maybe you and your classmates could give me some feedback on the program. Deshawn looked surprised, then pleased. For real? You'd listen to us? I'd be a fool not to, Elias said sincerely. Deshawn nodded approvingly before joining his friends, who were whispering excitedly among themselves as they left. When they were alone, Maya approached Elias cautiously. How did the meeting go? Better than expected, Elias said, reaching for her hands. The vote's been postponed a week, but I found a provision in the company's founding documents that essentially makes the initiative mandatory. Davidson's not happy, but he's running out of options. That's amazing, Maya said, relief washing over her. And what about us? Did they demand you end things with me? They tried, Elias admitted. I refused. Maya, I meant what I said last night. I'm not choosing between you and Next Gen. I'm choosing both. And after today, I think the board is beginning to understand that you make me a better CEO, not a distracted one. Maya squeezed his hands. I was so worried. After your brother came to see me, Marcus sends his apologies, Elias interrupted, and his blessing for what it's worth. Really? Maya was skeptical. Really, Elias assured her. He saw today what I've known all along, that loving you hasn't weakened me. It's given me strength I didn't know I had. Maya felt tears pricking at her eyes. I was afraid I was going to have to let you go. Never, Elias said fiercely, pulling her into his arms. Do you hear me? Never. They held each other tightly, the last of Maya's doubts melting away in the warmth of his embrace. So what happens now? She asked when they finally pulled apart. Now, Elias said, taking her hand, we go forward together. No hiding, no compromises. Just us, figuring it out day by day like we promised. Maya smiled, her heart full. I like that plan. As they walked out of the foundation building into the warm evening air, Elias stopped suddenly. There's something else I wanted to ask you. What is it? Maya looked up at him, curious. How would you feel about me opening a next-gen office here in Birmingham? It would be the headquarters for the new initiative, and it would mean I could be here more often. With you. Maya's eyes widened. You'd do that? Move part of your company here? It makes business sense, Elias said. Birmingham has a diverse population, lower operating costs than Atlanta, and, he smiled, the most brilliant community outreach expert I know who might be willing to consult on the project. Is that a job offer, Mr. Carter? Maya teased. It's whatever you want it to be, Elias said. I just know I want you in my life, Maya, in every part of it. Maya stood on tiptoe to kiss him, not caring who might see. Yes to consulting. Yes to you being here more. Yes to all of it. 2 months later, Maya hurried through Birmingham Station, checking her watch. The train from Atlanta was due in 5 minutes, and she didn't want to miss Elias's arrival. So much had changed in the past 2 months. The Next Gen initiative, now officially named Banking for All, had been unanimously approved by the board after Elias's detailed proposal won over even the skeptics. Construction had begun on the Birmingham office, with Elias commuting between cities several times a week. The tabloid story had faded from public interest, replaced by more positive coverage when NextGen announced its new focus on underserved communities. Maya had been interviewed alongside Elias for a business magazine, her expertise in community needs acknowledged and respected. At the foundation, Maya's mentorship program was thriving. Several of her students had been offered internships at NextGen, part of a pipeline program Elias had created to bring diverse talent into the financial industry. And through it all, their relationship had deepened, growing stronger with each challenge they overcame together. The station announcement indicated the train from Atlanta was arriving. Maya found herself at the same bench where she'd sat that fateful night, where a chance encounter had changed the course of her life. As passengers began to disembark, Maya spotted Elias, casually dressed in jeans and a sweater. He hadn't seen her yet, and for a moment, she just watched him. This man who had crossed worlds to be with her, who had fought for what he believed in, who had loved her enough to risk everything. Then he looked up, their eyes met, and his face lit up with that smile that still made her heart skip. "Waiting for a train?" he asked as he reached her, setting down his overnight bag. "Waiting for you," Maya replied, rising to meet him. Elias pulled her into his arms, kissing her with a tenderness that spoke of coming home. When they parted, he kept hold of her hands. "I have news," he said, excitement in his voice. "The first community banking center will open next month right here in Birmingham, and Davidson has officially dropped his opposition. He's even asked to be part of the launch team." "That's wonderful," Maya exclaimed. "I'm so proud of you, Elias. I couldn't have done it without you." Elias said sincerely. "You reminded me of what's important, of the man I want to be." Maya smiled, thinking of how far they'd come since that night of missed trains and chance meetings. "We've come full circle," she observed, glancing around the station, back where it all began. "Not quite full circle," Elias said, a hint of nervousness creeping into his voice. "There's something I've been wanting to ask you." Before Maya could respond, Elias reached into his pocket and dropped to one knee right there in the middle of the station. In his hand was a small velvet box. Maya gasped, her hands flying to her mouth as fellow travelers stopped to watch. "Maya Langston," Elias said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "You saw me when I was just a man at a train station. You challenged me, inspired me, and loved me, despite all the complications that came with me. You make me better in every way, and I want to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of your love." He opened the box to reveal a simple but elegant diamond ring. "Will you marry me?" Tears of joy streamed down Maya's face as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "Yes." Elias slipped the ring on her finger, then stood to kiss her as the onlookers applauded. Maya laughed against his lips, feeling as though her heart might burst with happiness. "Still think you're cursed?" Elias murmured when they broke apart, his forehead resting against hers. Maya shook her head, remembering how she'd once told him she felt like nothing ever went right for her. "Not anymore. Now I think it was just fate getting us to miss the right train together." Elias smiled, taking her hand as they walked toward the exit. "The last train brought us to this moment, but our journey is just beginning." Outside the station, the sun was setting on Birmingham, painting the sky in shades of gold and promise. Maya looked at the ring on her finger, then at the man beside her, and knew with absolute certainty that sometimes missing a train could be the luckiest thing in the world, because sometimes it led you exactly where you were meant to be all along. The end.